This is our CTE safety contract. The first thing we're going to do when we come into class is we're going to wash our hands before and after class. So we'll come into class. We will go over here to the sink. There is a new sanitizer station right here, a hand pump, and you can use that, or you can use good old soap and water right over here to wash our hands. We'll have a seat, do our work for the class, and I'll make sure you guys have at least 5 minutes or so after class to also wash your hands. Make sure you guys have time to do that. When we're wearing a mask at school or just in general, it's always a good idea to make sure that our mask covers our mouth and our face. Is that right? Should our mask cover our eyes? Should our mask be covering our chin so our nose is hanging out? No, we always want to make sure it's covering our mouth and our nose. This little boy here is wearing it the correct way, and here are all the wrong ways to be wearing the mask. If you need to take a mask break, you can ask to do that, and you can go outside to the patio here for 5 minutes. If it's a day where it's rainy, I may have a canopy set up or a space for you guys to go out there and just enjoy being outside under a canopy. When at all possible, we're going to try to maintain 6 feet from each other in class. It's kind of a tight space, but there should be enough space for everybody to maintain that most of the time. Obviously, if there's a time where we have to be closer to each other, or I'm doing a demonstration, or I need to be close to you, like arm's length to help you do something, obviously those are times where it might need to be a little bit closer, but in general, we're going to try to maintain 6 feet. Here is Mr. Christian's table, all nice and clean. Actually, the width from corner to corner here is 6 feet, and the width from corner to corner this direction is 10 feet. So we can safely put one person here, one person here, one person here, and one person here at this corner, and still be able to maintain that 6 feet. Now, if someone needs to be over here or here, obviously we can shuffle things around, but just in a seated position, this table is 6 feet from corner to corner on the short end and 10 on the long end. We're going to wear safety goggles and hearing protection when things are loud, and safety goggles when there's a hazard of things getting into our eyes when using a tool that has a cutting blade that goes up and down or around and around. It's always a good idea to be wearing our safety goggles when we're using those tools. Different people have different levels of hearing sensitivity. So if it's too loud, you can always wear something even if someone else doesn't think it's as loud, right? There are tools that I'm going to require that we use safety hearing protection on, and somewhere it'll be your choice, and I'll let you know which kind of tool that is that we're using that day. Not everybody thinks everything is the same level of loudness. Of course, if you want to wear those in class, just because you prefer that, you of course may do that. We're going to wear shoes that cover our entire foot. This is a safety thing. It's a health thing. There are days when we go outside and it's warm where we can, but we should always have a pair of shoes if we're in class that we can switch into that cover our whole foot. And that is because there are things in class that can fall down, and it might hurt if it falls on your shoe, but it would hurt a lot more if it fell on your toe that was not exposed. There are things that we do in class that make a mess, and so the floor can be slippery. And typically open-toed shoes, flip-flops, sandals, slides, things like that don't really do a good job of protecting our foot from slips and falls. So there's a couple different reasons why we would do that. We're going to focus on our work. There's a phrase that says no horseplay, and that's what this is saying here too. It's 2 horses playing checkers, which I've never seen before. But if I did, I would say that's not allowed. Horses can't play checkers. Right, we should be focusing on our work, of course, is what that means. Not on the other person, not on what's going on outside the window, not on a dream that we had a long time ago. Right, we should be focused on our work, whatever's in front of us, whether that's doing a cut or drawing a line or painting inside of something, right? We're going to just be focusing on our work, which is to say, reduce distractions to other people, reduce distractions to ourselves as best possible. We should always be focusing on our work. Listen to instructions from the teacher about tools and machines before touching them. This one is super important. It's a really, really big deal. It's like my number one rule in class. Don't touch things that you don't know about. If you don't know what it is or how it works, or if you're allowed to use it, just don't touch it. Assume it's not for you. Assume you can't touch it. Assume you shouldn't touch it. Don't touch it. If we're in class and I share with you that this is a tool we'll be using today, I will always show you how to use it the right way, and maybe even a couple of ways that you shouldn't use it, some wrong ways to use it. But that way we know how to be safe, use something properly, and we're protected. So don't touch things that you don't know about or you don't have permission to use. Don't play with tools and equipment. I don't have any toys in class. Those are things that are fun and can distract you from learning and that you can use at home or outside, but they're not for school. Tools are the only things Mr. Christian has in his classroom. I only have tools here. I only have things that help us learn or focus, and obviously my tools are for school. So we don't play with tools or equipment, whether we're in school or out of school, at a work environment. We're only going to work with tools, not play with them. If something is broken or not working, tell an instructor, tell myself, tell someone around you, say, this doesn't feel right. I think this is broken. How can we fix this? How can we make this better? We're going to want to let somebody know if something is working or is not working or is broken. That way I can fix it. Someone can fix it. We can take a look at what might be going wrong, maybe how it's being used unsafely, if it's being used unsafely. That's just a really good practice to get in, making sure that we're letting people know if it's broken. Don't touch sharp or pointy things to see if it's sharp. If it looks like it's sharp, it is sharp, probably, right? But there's never anything that comes, never anything good that comes out of touching something that's sharp and pointy. Best case scenario, it's not, and you don't get hurt. Worst case scenario, it is sharp, and you need to get a Band-Aid or something like that, right? So we're not going to touch sharp and pointy things to see if they're sharp. We're just going to assume if it looks sharp, it is sharp, and we're not going to touch it, right? That's the biggest thing, is don't touch things that we're not allowed to touch. And this is another one right now. This is a really big deal, particularly in schools today, is we're not going to touch things without permission that are high touch, which means surfaces that a lot of people touch very frequently. We're not going to touch things that people are going to share unless we have to. Because if let's say Mr. Christian has one ruler, it's not true I have many rulers, but if I only had one ruler and Johnny used the ruler and he wants to share it with Susie, we're going to need to wash it in between them taking turns with that ruler. That way, everything that everybody touches that's shared is cleaned first. Now, if we touch a lot of things that we're not supposed to touch, they have to be cleaned anyways, which means we're spending more time cleaning and less time working. And who wants to do that, right? Mr. Christian doesn't like to clean very much, but it's what it is. I clean because it's part of what I do. But I'd rather be doing things, right? So we'll just make sure we're not touching things unnecessarily so that they're not getting cleaned unnecessarily. We're going to help keep the shop clean. We're going to do our assignment and leave things neater than we found them. I'll always make sure that there's time at the end of class to vacuum, to use the air compressor to blow compressed air around on things that get dirty, to sweep, to put things away, clean things, obviously. So that way, the next class that comes in can get right to work and not have to clean up somebody else's mess, right? That's what we're going to do. We're going to keep our assignment, assigned area cleaned and do our cleaning tasks. This is another really important one that we should practice doing in school and out of school. If you get hurt or are uncomfortable, tell an instructor immediately. Say, this hurts. This doesn't feel right. I'm uncomfortable. My mask doesn't feel right. My safety glasses don't feel right. These headphones are too tight, right? We need to learn how to advocate for ourselves and say the things that we're feeling, so that way everybody can know, and somebody can help you, right? This is about making sure we get the things that we need. And sometimes that's, a different safety item or a Band-Aid or something like that, right? So if you're hurt or uncomfortable, let someone know so they can help you. And those are the rules of our safety contract. So what we'll be doing is, for those folks that are coming in the class, we will be signing those and making sure that everyone's on the same page with those.